Okay, good morning everyone. I'm just going to head out now and basically go and find another mast and just give us an overview on a route around my sort of locality as to what to sort of expect for EMF exposure. So this is the base level, this is at the area of Otley Road, and basically we're just going to head out now, head up to Otley Road, probably down Valley Gardens and around Coalbath Road, and we'll have a look at some readings as we go along. Okay, so we'll call say 500 as the base around the vicinity where I live, and what we'll do is we'll have a look at again sort of other areas of interest as we go. Okay, so I'm just sort of now towards the sort of co-op area, the crossroads on Otley Road. So we've dropped to about 140 as a sort of consistent level. So yeah, that just shows we don't have to move far just for these readings to drop a little. Okay, so I've probably come about 200 metres now up Otley Road, and we're now sitting around sort of 300 microvolts as the sort of reading here. And what I've seen, you know, it has been dipping a little bit, and I say I'll pick that up as we go, but yeah, roughly around 300 microvolts. Okay, so we now see a sudden increase up to sort of 3,800, 4,000, 3,400, down to 2,900. So anyway, we can see what we're reading at now, and this is on the Otley Road crossroads where the Harlow Moor Road meets, and basically behind that we've then got the Arlo Hill water treatments. So if what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the meter away for the moment and basically just try to show you right in the middle of the screen now is what was probably the old water tower. On the top of that is what we see the fins. So that's most likely giving us this influence that we're seeing, and as we said, we're around sort of, again, exceeding that 3,000 microvolts mark. So I'm going to move a little bit closer just to see what the influence is then. Okay, so I'm now on the Nursery Lane off Otley Road, which is a popular route for dog walkers, and as we can see there, we've got the sort of tower in front of us. Again, we can, you know, the fins are visible there, and I just want to give us an idea of what we're reading at the moment. So, 8,000, 9,000. Oh, the mixer goes off the scale at 9,999. So, yeah, quite a significant disturbance this is. We did have one gentleman who asked about, can I sort of verify all of this detail? Yeah, I can. I'm not here to make up any kind of you know, sort of false news which you may find elsewhere. So yeah, I'm actually a geobiologist. 2 years now I've had my business where I basically go and measure people's homes in terms of electromagnetic field exposures and basically help them to mitigate them. So this was following my own personal illness, of which EMF was one of the contributions to my illness. So yeah, you know, the 100 microvolts is the sort of level that we would say we would need to protect the body at because of the potential for cell membrane damage. But if we know that someone's had an illness already, then that figure becomes 30 microvolts, where we say we now need to apply some kind of shielding to protect the body whilst predominantly are in that sleeping phase, because that's what the recovery process of sleep is about. We want to remove EMF through the sleep process to remove that influence and that toxic aspect of EMF off the body, off the cell, to allow the body to go through its regenerative process. So we can see here that, you know, 8,000 is a sort of comfortable measure that it's holding, you know, far exceeding, and I did just walk up the road, and I'll just go to, again, the sort of hedge line of properties opposite, just to see what their sort of exposures are potentially. And we are seeing, oh, it's gone off the scale still, ouch. So yes, let me find, so yeah, it's always a pulse wave, so it's never going to be constant. But yeah, we're holding above 9,900. So yeah, what is it inside the bedrooms? I don't know. But what I can say is probably a 2-story property where you're higher and more in line with the fins is probably going to be higher than like your downstairs living areas. So that just gives a bit of a perspective. Okay, I'm now going to take a route. We're going to head back down. We'll take the route by the water plant, through the pine woods into Valley Gardens. Okay, so I'm now about midpoint from the nursery lane back to where I'm going to take a left to go to Valley Gardens, and we see we've dropped down to say 1500, let's say. Ooh, pulsing a little bit. So anyway, what we can say is that now if I look up, oh, the mass that we were seeing is actually now behind these properties. So we can see that infrastructure will give us some protection. It's just unfortunate that these houses and the occupants are taking that as the infrastructure. Okay, I just wanted to show you something else actually on another meter. So we see the tower there with the fins. Another meter that I've got here, it actually measures what's in the air. So if we look at the bottom figure of 2.4, 3.1, this is measuring in milliwatts per meter squared. But we can see the figure in the top left. That gives us a peak reading that we've seen for the last 3 seconds. So 2.7, 2.9, 3.3. So this gives us a reading, as we said, in milliwatt per meter squared. And just to put into perspective, as to, we do have guidelines for this type of radiation. They're set by what's called ICNIRP, which is the International Commission for Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. And what they state is primarily that there is only damage if that actually creates heating of the tissue, and that's normally through the ionizing range of radiation. But there's now lots of research to show that the non-ionizing range of EMF does actually do us damage. So we can see here, so I think 6.1, we're way above what guidelines I work to. The maximum I work to is 1 milliwatt per meter squared. ICNIRP allow up to 10 as their safe limit, but I know between 0.01 to 1, that is actually classed as a severe concern level within the building biology world. So there's such a discrepancy of the sort of official guidelines versus the sort of safe limits that a geobiologist or a building biologist would apply. So this is what industry has basically set the figures to basically give themselves that little bit of safety blanket with the exposure of EMFs that they put out to us. Okay, so we're now walking along the road of the water treatment, and it just kind of shows that we can see that we've certainly dropped in terms of the airborne readings as we are walking along, but we suddenly start to see a spike again, and as we turn to the left we say, we've suddenly found the water tower again. So that just shows that how we can be hidden from these by the sort of infrastructure of just having the sort of the grass bank of the water treatment providing us some form of protection. But as soon as we're exposed, the meter tells us again. I've just come back down Otley Road from the crossroads with the water stream. I saw these on my way up actually, and there's a series of 5 trees that have been cut down. I'm not saying that this is for any installation of 5G, but if you were ever sort of concerned about an installation of 5G, this would be one of the major sort of signs that we'd see. Because the problem with trees is that the leaves, whenever they get wet with rain, they actually act as a blocker of 5G signals because, again, the water becomes an absorbent aspect. But also trees, they actually give us a block of the line of sight of this beamed radar. So, I'm not saying that suddenly these 5 trees are the start of, a 5G installation, but it's just one of those things that we need to be mindful of and look out for.